Welcome back. You're watching Global Today here on Morning Prime, and we're looking on the long-awaited closure for Patrice Lumumba's burial, which will be happening on June the 26th after so many decades. What was just brought back home was a tooth that is just, of course, a semblance, or maybe a semblance of what is the remains of him, such a hero. Before we took a short break, we were just to hear it from Irungu Hilton as well.
So many of the KTN viewers probably don't know the history of Lumumba. It's good, I think Hassan and Peter have generated this, but I think it's important to recognize that, you know, this is one of Africa's finest, most boldest, courageous leaders that we have ever known. Right? He was killed primarily because of his courage. 61 years ago, he was arrested, he was assaulted, physically beaten, humiliated. He was then shot by a firing squad and buried. That was not enough. They then exhumed his body, they then cut his body into parts, and they then dipped him in sulfuric acid to remove any semblance of a human being ever existing. And it is for that reason that the only thing that was left was a gold tooth. The police commissioner at the time, instructed by the authorities to do this, kept that gold tooth in a little box, which, when he died in 2016, was discovered by his daughter back in Belgium. That little box was opened up. She announced to the press that she had the gold tooth of Lumumba. It took the family a legal case to get that tooth to be handed over to the family. So what we're seeing in the Congo, in DRC at the moment with the official burial is, first of all, the first burial of Lumumba, and the only thing that they can bury is his gold tooth. So there's a real sense of pain and national angst, I think, in this moment in the Congo. And I think that's the first thing that's important to state on this issue. I think the second thing for me is, you know, for many people, for this generation, you know, if I just looked at kind of what's the comparison between Belgium and the DRC. So Belgium has a population of about 11 million people. This is just maybe 3 times Nairobi. It is the 6th richest state in the world, right? Contrast that with the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, with a population of 80 million people, so 8 times the size of Belgium. And it is the 2nd poorest state in the world, despite the presence of probably
the cobalts and minerals,
the gold, the diamonds, the hydroelectric energy that's available, and the potential. So I think what we really have to look at this moment is not just, you know, the symbolic return of Lumumba and his burial, which will, you know, of course, be comfort and release for the family, but really a sense of what does this mean for the relationship between Europe and Africa. And I think this is where we need to have this conversation. The Professor Zongola Ntlaja spoke on this issue, and as a Zairwa, or now Congolese professor, he's probably one of the finest historians on the Democratic Republic of Congo. And what he says is that in Lumumba coming home, there is a sense of historical justice. But the historical injustice of the millions of people who died under the Free State of King Leopold and then King Baudouin after him has never really been dealt with. And I think that is, you know, that is the bigger question here. How do you restore?
It amazes me that they had to bury him, exhume him, also chop off his body again, then remain with a golden tooth. Is there any rhyme or reason why this really happened, that they had to exhume him, and or it was just the angst and, you know, the bile, and they wanted just to make sure that he disappears completely? And were it not for Juliana, who took that particular initiative to actually ask for that particular tooth back home, the Belgians will not really have taken that initiative at all. Brigadier.
May I intervene on this, because it's a side issue? Why wouldn't you ask the same question to the Kenyans who are governing us? Where is Kimathi? Why is Dedan Kimathi? Why can't Mukami bury her husband before she dies? Why? in Kenya today.
Do we have no resources?
Do we have no resources to do that?
Do we not have science?
Are we not the ones who went to...
Look.
Are you the one
what President Uhuru is doing right now with the mineral, the geospatials, all those there, you can actually trace all these elements.
That's what we asked.
We can trace where. Yeah, we have the facilities, the forensic labs that actually were launched recently.
We contributed money as Mount Kenya Elite and paid for the forensic identification of the bodies in Kiambaa. And we buried them one by one in ashes, but you know who you're burying. Just to bring closure to an issue that had tormented a section of our community. Now, why can't we bury Kimathi today at the agent time? So the Belgians are ahead of us in terms of cleansing themselves. The British need also to cleanse themselves. Let them come and show us where they buried Kimathi. You get the point? Let them come and show us where Kimathi is.
But why do they need to come here? We have the home guards.
That's what we are saying.
The home guards are here.
And those who buried him are here with us.
Yes.
And they are going to die with that information in their chest. They know where they put him. So we are putting streets after Kimathi. We are recognizing his widow. We parade them during our national days. Stupid. Let's get Kimathi first before we even talk about the Belgians. And we are all going to Zerebo. Lumumba is back. There are very many other Lumumbas on this continent who need closure, or whose families need closure to that matter.
I hope State House is watching this conversation right now. Does State House watch this program?
Yes, they do.
They do. Okay.
Yeah.
Points taken. Hopefully received.
Brigadier General.
It's a very sad case indeed. That for these years the family has been tormented, and indeed the fact that the DRC has not been at peace ever since the death of Lumumba. And we're also forgetting one